You're teaching me with my imperfections, reaching me when I run the other direction. I'm undone, unraveling my plans. Make me whole again, rebuild me from the inside out, in a way only you know how. You're teaching me with my imperfections, reaching me when I run the other direction. I'm undone, unraveling my plans. Make me whole again, rebuild me from the inside out, in a way only you know how. Back to your arms, the place I call home. Back to your voice that calls me your own. Back to your path, the one where I won't walk alone. Back to the mercy you've always shown. Back to your son who sits on the throne. Back to your love that cuts to the core of my bones. I won't stop returning to home.
Start tooling. So, while you're grabbing food and stuff like that, first an update. So about the refugee project that we've been working on and doing. So far, after this miserable weather we have had, they're still keeping them at shelters, and apparently state of Colorado bought, I think, like 4 or 5 more hotels to use them as semi-permanent and temporary shelters for this kind of weather. So so far, at least, what they're trying to tell us is that there won't be any more need for like the campsites and stuff like that. Nevertheless, the more people are coming in. So right now there is this thing at the border. I don't know if you guys are paying attention to what's happening with the state of Texas and the federal government, and the barbed wires on the border and so on. And then federal agents are taking them down. Texas is putting them up, and they literally have a heightened state of readiness for the National Guard because of this. It's gonna like, are they gonna go to war? You know. But the bottom line is this is not gonna last. We're gonna have more people coming in. As long as the administration supports it, we're gonna have more people in. So we have, I don't know, probably like maybe like a dozen of bags of clothes, winter clothes ready. We have few more propane heaters, and we're gonna keep, as soon as we hear that there are people back on the streets, we're going to start doing our part again. So at this point, if you guys still wanna support the refugee project, and if you have any more like stuff that is helpful for the winter camping, have that in mind, winter camping. We are still collecting donations in regards to that, and probably we're going to do that through the month of February. March should hopefully ease up, and then things should in many ways, but we are still doing that. And we have 2 families that are attending church in Nevada thanks to the connection that, and when I say families, I'm not talking about like Sean and Laura family, but it's like mom and dad and 3 kids and uncle and aunt and grandma. They're like, they would ask us to give them a ride back to the shelter, and it's usually we have to round up. Like that's the only time that I raise the back seat of that truck up, and 8 people just go in there, and then 2 more sit up front, and I kind of drive by the speed limit. Don't want to be suspicious. But so far the project has been successful. We did our part. Philip, thank you very much for the support. And Victor as well. You guys brought clothes, right? For the prayers, for the support. And whoever is watching online, I don't remember exactly. I remember Philip because he was bugging me like every day. He would call me. Like, hey, what about this? Do I need to bring the tent? Do they need a generator? Do they need this and that? So all that kind of stuff really helped them, you know. I'm sure something else is going to happen in the future, so the disaster fund is still running full steam ahead. We'll see what God guides us to do. But that's kind of what's happening on that. I wanted to give that update. Now I would like us to take the time for the prayer of presence and ground us in this present moment, in the awareness of the presence of God, and just focus. So let's do this. This sounds cute. Let's take a minute. Take your distractions away. Put stuff aside. Clear your hands. Clear your mind. Raise your head up. Close your eyes. Be aware of every part of your body as you sit in those chairs. And then be aware of God looking you in the eye. Let's take a minute. Dear Lord, this minute has passed by as we were focusing on our presence and your presence, and I ask you right now for your Spirit to come upon us so we can deepen our spiritual mind, so we can better understand what does it mean to be present in your presence and to be present outside of this world. And today, as we study this topic of bad asking, help us see it in ourselves, because all of us do it. Help us not just see it in others, but in ourselves, so we can stand corrected before you and open the doors for you to answer our prayers more frequently and more powerfully. Amen. All right, so first thing that I would like us to start with is, let's discuss a little bit bad taste. I was thinking this morning, like, I should wear something that would reflect bad taste.
Well, that's not what you were going for?
Huh? Say again?
That's not what you were going for?
I knew you were going to have a smart remark. It's not too bad.
Oh, I like it. I do like it.
But here's the thing. What crosses your mind first when you say he or she has bad taste? What's the first thing that crosses your mind? Clothing, okay. Relationships, okay. What else? We are talking about people with bad taste. Bless you.
Okay, people with bad taste.
Yeah. So the first thing that crosses your mind with people with bad taste. So clothing, relationship, what else?
Lack of consideration.
Hmm?
Lack of consideration.
Mm-hmm. So behavior, acting in public. No. When you see a kid in public on a birthday party, when you see a kid picking his nose and then cleaning his finger on the wall, that is not a reflection of bad taste, right? That's bad. Yeah. But if you see an adult doing the same thing, that's bad taste. Yeah. Now, what's the difference? What's the difference? Why is a child entitled, in a way, to that kind of a behavior while an adult is not?
Exposure to social norms.
Okay. Technically, the adults should know better, right? And as adults, we know better, but we choose to act, talk, behave differently. Now, let's talk a little bit more about a description of a bad taste. So we had some generalizations over here, general statements of what bad taste is. But give me more let's put it this way. Let's say, describe me a person with bad taste in clothing.
I don't know what to say about that one. I don't know what to say about that one because it's objective.
That is a very good argument. So, when I was talking to Jasmina this week about the same thing, and she's like, you can't discuss taste. Like, there is no such thing as a bad taste, you know? Because beauty is in the eye of beholder. You know, if you like it, well, you like it. Why would you care about what anybody else thinks? But nevertheless, would you ever walk out in in sandals and white socks in public?
Getting closer to
People
that
are
age.
doing
Huh?
Getting closer to that age.
No, it's totally like
And
people
New
do.
Balance, like that
I have the
shoes.
New Balance.
There's actually a trend right now.
Huh?
All he needs is a Corvette.
Yeah, that's right. It's a trend right now. So something that was bad taste 5 years ago is a trend now, and it's not a bad taste anymore. Why? Come on, guys, engage.
Society went down and you can't say anything anymore because then you hurt everyone's feelings.
That's very true. Or someone decided to be brave enough and make a new way of wanting to dress regardless of people's opinions.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
And other
trends
people-
started.
Yeah.
That's how trends
Is
started.
that how a trend started? And then other people ended up following. And they're like, who cares nowadays?
But still, even with that, if somebody shows up in a suit and a tie and white socks,
They're being made fun of.
huh?
They're being made fun of.
Why? Why? Even though it's subjective,
Well, yeah. I mean, it also depends on the people that are around. If it's that type of. Because there's some people
'Cause
like
you can walk-
it's that subjective part where you're like, where it's like, oh wow, those are really nice shoes. They complement the pants, the sweater, and all. Why would you wear those? Like, there's no brown and like, how did you?
yeah.
Did you get dressed in the dark? Kind of like, but that's like how like we've seen trends of clothing go, where nothing's really new. It just goes in a
Circles
giant
around,
cycle.
then it gets mixed up and so on. So essentially, if we talk about the superficial thing of clothing, bad taste reflects anything that does not fit into the present category of in,
Right.
kind of like that.
What new magazine or
Yeah.
it says is
Or what you see in TV shows, or whatever you see the famous people wear, that looks cool. Okay.
Skinny jeans are out.
Yeah. That means I need to lose a lot of weight to fit into jeans that I've got in my closet.
And it's also the same way that we've all kind of just say that the way that people dress at Walmart,
Yeah, I found
they
some good
have
stuff at
created
Walmart.
a societal norm or societal narrative that whoever dresses in a particular way in Walmart is dressed in that taste. Granted, I don't want to see, bikinis and out of pants and
Yeah.
pajamas. So I'm like, okay.
For those dinosaur like flip flops.
When a boy dog gets neutered, he's still a boy.
What?
Huh?
What?
Sorry, I saw a video on Walmart because like people were dressing certain ways and they wanted to be if I was dressed as a female, then I go into Walmart, I need to be presented as that.
Oh, okay.
Walmart made me think of that.
I guess
I was just trying to like attach it to the story.
apparently Walmart has bad taste.
Sorry.
Walmart has bad taste as well.
No, I'm not trying to say. I'm not trying to say. I was trying to see like how it matched with what we were saying. I was like, okay, I'm having a hard time seeing this one.
It's okay.
Okay, let's go beyond the superficial. So, if we talk about clothing, so the bad taste, good taste, it kind of varies. It's all over the place, and eventually it boils down to subjective, right? If you like it, it might hurt my eyes, but if you like it, I mean, I'm not going to look your way. It is what it is. Now, let's go into a deeper idea of a bad taste. How would you describe a person with a bad taste in social interactions?
Belittling.
Belittling? Yes.
Social awkward.
Social, what do you mean when you say social awkward?
People that are socially awkward.
You think that's
You think that that's bad taste?
Or is it a personality?
I'm sorry.
I know. I'm like, sorry too.
See, and that's
That could be
also,
personality.
Say again?
that's also subjective too, how we have a personality in a certain way, we act at each other. If people came in and we're talking like me, Philip, and Dickie will
They might
bash
find
each
that
other
a really
all
bad
day.
taste, yeah.
And then they walk in, they're like, whoa, what's going on here? Do they even like each other? Kind
Like
of
each other.
Yeah, but it's kind of like we always insult each other, but only in a certain
Right.
social setting.
Exactly.
Yeah. And now, you're right. If you expand that within a broader social setting, people look, like, whoa. It even feels awkward saying that when other people are present. Now, even though there are some kind of subjective aspect in the bad taste in social interactions, there are some general. Are there actually? I should probably rephrase that as a question. Are there some general rules or labels that could say, okay, this is simply a bad taste in behavior? Like no matter what the social setting is, this is just bad.
I mean, when someone's being rude, doesn't matter what situation you're in. If you're rude, that's not polite. Nobody likes that.
But when Dickie is rude to Sean, and then Sean is rude to Philip, and then Philip laughs at both of them. Did you see the reaction? And then his reaction. You probably remember the situation. Suddenly rudeness becomes acceptable within that context. So,
How about to the vulnerable or to the weak being distasteful to the vulnerable or weak?
so the actual bad taste in social interactions and connections does not specifically relate to how I act distastefully in general, but how I act considering whoever I'm engaged with. So, there are some jokes that I will share with Philip, but that I would never share with you, because it would be distasteful. So, having a bad taste in social interactions, again, does not revolve specifically around an action itself, but rather who that action is kind of directed to, right? Where the clothing is more or less subjective because, okay, whatever, you like it, that's fine. But here's the thing, when we interact, my clothing is my own. This is simply mine. And if I like it the way I am, screw all of you, right? And more or less that's how it is in our society. Yeah, I might get looked down by some people. I might have to pay consequences for that, like showing up, for example, preaching in Nevada in shorts and flip-flops. Or yeah, exactly, or like, yeah, go Brandon, or whatever, But the thing is, it's still mine. And if people get offended by my clothing, well, sucks for you. Look the other way. I don't care. So even though it might be a bad taste, it's not bad taste for me. But here's the thing. If I choose to interact with another person through my words, actions, whatever it is, at that point, a bad taste is not tied anymore to me, but to that other person as well. So again, it's not up to an action. It's not up to a dirty joke that Philip would laugh at and you would cringe at, but it's about you and you, the other one. Go ahead.
I think that you would lose credibility in trying to get your point across. If you already have a bad taste with that person's trying to relay something to you, you're not going to be so keen to listen to them.
That's another thing that happens, yes. If somebody sees me as a person who has bad taste in interactions, anything I say or do will be filtered through that. Oh, is he trying to be rude right now? Okay, where's the giggity in this one? You know, and stuff like that. So technically, when we talk about bad taste, there is a personal bad taste that's not bad to me. Then there is an interactional bad taste that depends on the person you're interacting with, not on the action that it is over there. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper. Can you think of anything that would be generally considered a definition of bad taste, no matter the circumstances? No matter the occasion, no matter the people, no matter, simply in every single circumstance, this is a reflection of bad taste.
Wearing a swastika.
Okay, okay, let's discuss that.
I was just going to say racism in general.
Racism, okay, let's discuss that. Why do you think that is a general representation of bad taste?
It represents hatefulness, death.
So it generally glorifies something that presents hate toward other people. Whatever the group is, it's insignificant, but it generally represents something that is promoting hurting others. Sound like that, right? Okay. And what if you are a part of a Nazi annual meet in Germany, which they actually have?
It wouldn't be bad taste. It'd be a part of their.
Within their setting, it would not be a bad taste. Actually, it would be welcomed.
They're really looking for something that.
Something that everybody, yes. Can you think of anything?
And does it have to be something that we wear or something that we express in our facial?
However you feel like it, it could be an action, it could be a behavior, it could be words, it could be a slogan, it could be.
I have a good one. It's funny, but it would work for anything, anybody. Not washing your hands after you use the bathroom.
Oh!
That was
If you're Nazi or whatever.
Ow.
That's a universal sign.
Now we're getting
Not to
somewhere.
sign
This is a good one.
Not to share
That's a
chips.
really good one. Oh, I was going to say that's a really good one.
I agree.
Now, I have to agree, this is excellent. The question is now, why? Why is worse not washing your hands after not going to the bathroom? Why is that worse than having a swastika tattooed on your chest?
We've had many years of diseases that have caused a lot of fear in people. You can spread E. coli
So-
very easily.
So essentially, no matter who you are, no matter what setting you're in, no matter who you're surrounded with, this kind of behavior could hurt you, right?
Because you could easily walk away from the swastika sign,
Yeah.
but you're sharing a bowl of chips with that person.
Yeah.
You're walking away with something else, most
There you go.
likely.
Hey, I have something for you. What is it? The pink eye. Yeah, like- So, the idea of bad taste is this. The whole, that was a good one. Yeah. The whole idea of bad taste is this. Anything that is distasteful is actually based on the amount of pain it causes either to you or to anybody else. And bad clothing can cause pain to somebody who is artistic, to somebody who is, somebody who really cares about these things, and then you see somebody who is distastefully dressed, like, you feel offended. Have you ever been offended by somebody's clothes?
Situational.
Uh-huh.
So you go to a wedding and someone shows up in shorts,
In
flip-flops,
jeans
and
and-
a
yeah,
t-shirt.
No,
Yeah.
or worse, a white wedding dress.
Or-
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was saying, no.
So,
Someone's gonna be catching hands.
that's bad. Yeah, that's really bad. But here's the thing. You can cause pain, different kinds of pain, different kind of damage to be physical, mental, emotional, and so on, with your distasteful behavior. Now, the reason I wanted us to go through this process of understanding what bad taste is because a lot of time, actually most of the times, and as you notice, that is the first thing that happened when I asked you the question to describe bad taste. We started with clothing and what else?
Relationships.
And relationships. Yeah. So this is the most superficial one, and this is the one that is the most argued about, but actually the one that is the most flexible and the least dangerous. More dangerous bad taste in our lives are choices that are not that obvious, or things that we do that are not that obvious, but they can harm not just others, but myself, more than just, I'm offended. So as we go, already Josh is ahead of the game. As we go through today's study and through the Bible reports that we're going to read, I would like you to keep this in mind as like the backdrop for everything. What an actually bad taste is and where it really originates. Now, when we pray to God, very often prayers don't happen because we suck at asking. We have a really bad taste at asking. And James, I don't think I added that verse over there. I should have. I posted it in that video that we talked about. Jenny, somebody want to just check Jenny's asking something.
You said it's not working for her or something like that?
It's not. Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Are you sure that the live stream is working? Okay. James chapter 4. I would like us to kind of read this Bible verse because it's interesting to start this discussion with. Who would be so kind to read from 1 to 4? So James chapter 4, verses 1 to 4.
I can.
Thank you.
It says, what causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? You desire but do not have, so you kill. You covet but you cannot get what you want, so you quarrel and fight. You do not have to because you do not have because you did not ask God. When you ask, you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures.
And one more.
You adulterous people, don't you know that friendship with the world means enmity against God? Therefore, anyone who chooses to be a friend of the world becomes an enemy of God.
Thank you very much. All right. Now, James over here is trying to address this problem that people have. And the problem that people have is they pray for things and nothing happens. They ask God to help and the things go in the wrong direction. They have real need to be met in their life, and the problem just deepens even further. And then they look up to God and say, okay, why is this happening to me? This doesn't work. A lot of people come with this idea, okay, this doesn't work. So God, prayers, whatever it is, I don't have the key to it. And then James says, okay, so you have to understand that God hears you. That's number one. Number two, God wants to answer your prayer. The problem is not his lack of ability or desire to respond to your prayer. The problem is where the prayer starts. The problem is the origin of the prayer. And then he has like an intro. An intro are verses 1 and 2, where he describes a horizontal way of living, where we look at life as a competition. We look at life as I gotta be better than you do, or I want to have what you have, or if I don't have what he has, then my life sucks, and so on. And a lot of times, like a lot of things that we have in life, a lot of things that we do in life, we don't do it because we necessarily have a genuine desire to, but because we are constantly conditioned that this is how a good life looks like. And the typical American dream is what? Own a house, own a car, have enough money to pay for your kids' college fund. That is an American dream. Now, millennial dream is kind of shrinking down. It's like...
have a place to live, have a running car,
yeah.
have enough money to pay rent, or pay for student loans.
So, but here's the thing. Whether it is or not, when we discussed this last year, when I asked you, why don't you, if you don't like this, why don't you go live in the woods? It would be substantially cheaper. The quality of your life would go through the roof. You're going to be in a healthier environment. You would be eating healthier food. Your mind would be calmer.
I have no body fat.
Excuse me?
I have no body fat. I'll be cold.
You wouldn't get eaten though.
You know how to light a fire. But the whole point is, you can create a life for yourself that is not as taken from you as this life that we live right now is. And everybody's answer was, well, it doesn't match with what I want to achieve in life. But when we talked about achievements, if you remember, everybody's conclusion was that my achievements actually come from my comparison with the world around me. Because if I say now, I want to move to the woods and just live a nice and peaceful life like Native Americans used to live and so on, what do you get from the people? Are you crazy? Why would you do that?
I get free money for the government, so I don't have to work.
Okay, we'll move you to a Republican state. But okay, that is another. That goes, beyond the argument that I want to make. My point here is, like, when James talks about why God does not hear prayers, his argument is, listen, your prayers are so horizontally focused that there is nothing I can do about it. He says, you do not have because you do not ask. And a lot of times we talked about this as well before. We stop asking because things just don't happen, Or I can do it myself. I don't need anyone. I can handle this myself. I don't want to bother God with these questions, or I don't want to end up doubting God even more. And then he says, you ask, you do not receive because you ask wrongly, with wrong motives. One thing that labels bad taste in prayers is, where do prayers come from? Do your prayers come from your divine or your earthly identity. Now, let me ask you this. How much time did you spend last week contemplating on your divine and earthly identity and the difference on it?
A little bit.
Okay, that's something.
I think it was because we had talked about it the week before,
Uh-huh.
but prior to that, not really.
I really want you to try to put this on your like side of a to-do list. Like, because here's the thing. One thing that James is pretty clear over here about is until your divine nature, your divine identity and your divine purpose are really clear before you, God is not going to be able to address your prayers any more than He has so far. Because if you only ask in your prayers within the domain of your horizontal identity and horizontal purpose, God can only act within that domain. You know, God, I want to make more money. God, I want an amazing relationship. God, I want this and I want that and so on. We don't have, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. And all of these things are okay to ask. There is nothing wrong with asking about these things. The problem is, if you don't filter all of that through your divine purpose and divine identity, God only answers within that scope. For example, God, I want to be a millionaire. He looks at me, and now He sees more than I see, and He's like, you know what, if you get $1 million, you're screwed. You know, knowing your spending habits, knowing what's in your mind, you know, this is just going to ruin you. And then God is like, you're not getting this. And I keep praying for it. You know, but if I look at my divine perspective, if I look at my divine purpose and my divine identity, I see, okay, Lord, like I understand what you called me for. I understand who I am in you. And I really understand what am I supposed to do with you in this world. But hey, in order for us to do this, I really need more money. Like what I have, what I'm making, this is not going to cut it. At that point, God can look at you and say, okay, this is going to be a blessing instead of a curse. Let's give him that $1 million. And this is not a hypothetical. I hear, and you can find numerous stories, testimonials of people who did that. Who did that not for, and it's interesting, like when you listen, what's the name of that guy? There's one black guy. Anyways, he had this idea that he's going to pray and ask God to win the lottery. And he was going through this process as well, and he realized, like the way he is, same thing, like lottery wouldn't do good to me. And then he started trying to discover, okay, if I did do this, what would I do with it? How would I serve God with it, and so on? And he says through the process he was going through, looking at him at the point when he actually won the lottery, and at the point where he was when he asked for the win the lottery the first time. Actually, no, it was a girl, it was a lady. Sorry, I'm confusing stories. But anyways, I can find the link on YouTube, her story. But she says, like, who I was 2 years ago when I asked the first time, and who I was the moment when God actually gave me to win the lottery, were two completely different persons, two completely different people. So the reason why I am so emphasizing for you guys to clearly describe what your divine identity and your divine purpose are is because until you don't know that, you can't start evolving in the direction of fulfilling your divine identity and living out your divine purpose. That's what James says over here. You ask and you don't receive because you ask wrongly. You ask with wrong motives. And he says, you want to spend it on your pleasures. That's why you're not getting it. And God sees that and he's like, I'm not going to ruin you even more than you're already ruined. But God is not going to impose. God is not going to, oh, no. We have to work on you first. No, You have to come to a conclusion. You have to look in the mirror and say, okay, I got to work on myself.
I was going to say it starts with a lot of personal growth.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like. It's a lot of personal growth, but at the same time, keeping God in that personal growth and moving towards that divine purpose.
That is another important myth to bust. A lot of people think that all I have to do is pray to God to change me.
Oh, I didn't mean it like that.
No, I know that you didn't. No, quite the contrary. I know that you meant it. You exactly meant when you said personal work, that's exactly what you... I have to look at myself, my bad habits, things that are dragging me down, things that I need to change, and then I have to roll up my sleeves, and I have to grab life by the horns, and I have to do everything that I can.
Put in the work.
Yes, you put in the work, and then what happens then? God is behind your back, and He pushes you further than you would be able to reach on your own. Because you can pray and ask God to change you, but until you actually put the effort, He can't do much.
People don't know how to do it.
Excuse me?
People don't know how to put in the effort, a lot of people. Because then they're so used to their normal ways that it's too hard to put effort in. So then they don't even try.
And these normal ways that you're talking about is actually societal norms that are imposed on us for all of our life in order to keep us dormant, in order to keep us that.
When you're uncomfortable, or when you're comfortable being uncomfortable, that's when you know you've achieved it.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about like this morning, yeah.
I was actually seeing a video on YouTube about the dopamine hits that we get from our phone, and that doom scrolling, it is an endless amount of dopamine hits. And so because of that, we actually have a really, really hard time snapping out of it. And then when we are presented with other things that we would like to do, they're not giving us the stimulus that this is giving us. And so it doesn't even seem all that great. Ultimately, it just basically says to try and limit your use of the phone so that you can actually go out and do the things that you want to do.
And did you see how Philip made your point like halfway through your sentence? That's true.
No, that's scary. It's true.
Yeah.
We gotta limit ourselves because that's a scary reality.
Do you ever catch yourself? Do you ever realize, how did I get this in my hand? And this page is already open. You know, when you don't even like roll.
Well, they were doing that with so they were doing the studies on mice, and they were showing that repeated doses of dopamine, the mice became more and more depressed. Even when presented with food, they had absolutely no desire to eat.
Yeah.
I remember you used to say like the attention span of the youth was like 30 seconds or a minute. So it's like, and doing TikTok, start watching it, you're like, But you can't do that in life. You just like get bored with the conversation, like,
And and so many people do that, you know? So many people are going to, especially young people, they're going to just walk away. Yeah? And for me, that is distasteful.
That part,
You know?
Engage and then,
Yeah.
How close we're becoming like the movie Wall-E.
yep.
Yeah.
Everyone's in a chair, just
You
like
like-
screens.
Yeah, true. Now, when it comes to our personal prayers can be distasteful to God in three aspects. First aspect is a prayer for yourself. You can be distasteful in it. You can be distasteful in the prayer for others. And you can be distasteful in the... Okay, so let's put it this way. This is not exhaustive list. I just put 3 general, most common examples of where we are distasteful in our prayers. For me, for you, and for him. Those are the 3 aspects. So, the first one, open Luke chapter 9. Who would be so kind to read the verses?
the day drew near for him to be taken up, he set his face to go to Jerusalem. And he sent messengers ahead of him, who went to enter a village of the Samaritans to make presentations for him. But the people did not receive him, because his face was set towards Jerusalem. And when his disciples James and John saw it, they said, Lord, do you want us to tell fire to come down from the heaven and consume them? But he turned and rebuked them, and they went to another village.
Thank you very much. So it's very simple. This is a politically charged situation. So you have Jesus going to Jerusalem because he knows that his time is coming, and now people know that. Everybody knows that he's going because the Passover holiday is about to happen. So it was kind of expected of him to go there at the time. So he's going through Samaria, which is in constant. It used to be in constant political tension and spiritual and all kinds of religious tension with Jews. They really didn't like each other. Now, before this, Jesus was already in Samaria. You remember the story of the woman at the well. When he went, he spent 3 days in the village. They welcomed him, amazing experience and so on. So, and he's been going through Samaria all the time. So it's not like that for the first time it's him. But right now they're making a big deal out of the fact that he is going to Jerusalem to celebrate Jewish holiday. And they're like, you know what? He is just another political pawn, and we don't want him around here. And James and John, they're like, oh, really? Is that what you think? Well, here's what you get. Where do you see bad taste in this story?
They didn't see them at like the plan and message that God was trying to put into place, and they were kind of using the power recklessly.
Okay.
And so
All right.
it's just like, what are you doing? I'm trying to save people, not hurt them.
So one thing would be their impulsive behavior.
Impulsive and misunderstanding.
Okay, and misunderstand. Okay, all right, okay.
Like, you've been with me for so long. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but by now you should really, yeah, okay, all right.
No, I was just thinking of, it reminds me of James and John? No. The brothers, what are their names?
Yeah, James and John.
James and John, when Jesus calls them like the Thunder Brothers or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
because of their temper. Because it's just like who are you to say that to them? You are no better.
Sons of Thunder.
Sons
Yeah.
of Thunder,
Uh-huh.
there you go.
That's the best nickname.
Huh?
That's the best nickname.
Yeah, no, seriously,
I
imagine.
can't invite.
No, but the thing, you think, wow, that's a cool nickname, but then you realize it's actually a really bad connotation that name was kind of came in, you know. Jesus wanted to remind them of what they need to work on.
Sons of Thunder.
Yeah.
It's just a very bad tip.
The problem over here, so we have James and John being offended. They feel offended, right? And their prayer is coming out of reaction rather than being proactive about it. It's like, see the big picture, be aware of who we represent and so on. No, they were like, bam, just exploded, you know? They just responded in a way, and now they are going to like the ultimate way of expression of Lord's punishment. Fire and brimstone, Sodom and Gomorrah, Elijah and the Carmel mountain, and now Samaritan village and James and John. You know, it's happening. Sons of Thunder at their full power. But the thing over here is, Jesus didn't even argue with them. Jesus is like, shut up. Come on, we'll go elsewhere. We'll just get Airbnb over there, you know? But, now, when he rebuked them, I would assume that he didn't elaborate on it because they got it. You know? They understood very well why their prayer was not answered. Jesus was just like, kind of like that. You should know better. Come on. I'm like, yeah, we do. Now, how many times do you pray and you know better? Have you ever been in that situation? Huh? Like driving on an empty tank of gas and praying and asking the Lord just to last until you get to the gas station. Or like, have you ever been there?
Or you do a prayer and you're like, thank you for this day. And you're like mumbling in your prayer like you're praying for it, but trying to like skip through it. Pray for it. Like you know better about it.
Yeah. How does this happen? How do we fall into this kind of a type of prayer? Where, bless you, where was their prayer coming from? Selfishness? Okay.
Oh, the political fire that was going on with
That's
Samaria.
exactly, yes, political affiliation. This is a
They're
big
like,
deal.
We don't like them anyway, so just burn them.
Yeah, exactly. We see the same thing in our country today. Yeah. Okay. What would you say is the starting point of their prayer, of even a thought that they pray like this? Let me cut to the chase. Ego. So, anytime you're in the zone of horizontal, everything, even the best things in you come from your ego. When it comes from your earthly, your horizontal identity. And your ego is sometimes a great thing. You know, some people could really use more of their ego, you know? But on the other hand, very often ego is something that we trip over really easy, like they did. Why? Because your ego gets hurt. Your emotions get triggered. And then you start, have you ever, let's put it this way, have you ever wished not so nice to somebody else? Maybe you didn't tell them that, but has there crossed, oh, I wish he chokes on that bagel.
I pray that they will get what they deserve. Like, that the Lord, I mean, given in a sense, like you're like intercessory, but sometimes it's just like that selfish prayer, like for that person to get hurt, in a sense.
Even when you pray with the best intentions for them to get what they deserve, you're praying for somebody to get hurt. Right? It's tough love. It's tough divine love. Lord, smack them
Small
for their own good. Now, here's the thing. The problem over here that we have is that James and John, they didn't pray for these people. They didn't pray for them. They asked this prayer because of themselves. Because they were hurt and offended, and they wanted some way of satisfaction where they're going to feel where justice is served from their point of view or not. The problem with this prayer is, and Jesus just rebuked them, like, no, of course not. Why? Because they forgot what their divine purpose and divine identity is. They might be the sons of thunder, but first of all, they're the sons of God, and they're the ones who are promoting the kingdom of God. And if they just saw it that way, they wouldn't be praying with anger, but with compassion. But the problem we have is, when God doesn't answer our prayers, ask yourself, am I asking this from the point of my ego? Or am I asking it from the point of my divine identity? And you can do it, frankly, I would recommend you do this even before you say a prayer. It will save you some breath. When you realize that what I'm asking right now is just because I want stuff. I want things. I want this or that or so on. Instead of wanting to fulfill what God has laid out for me to do in my life. Number two. Sorry, if you have a comment or a question, please interrupt me. We got stuck we actually started late, and I want us to finish in time. Bad taste when praying for others. Now, Matthew chapter 20, verses 20 to 28. This is an embarrassing story. This is so embarrassing. Like, Who would be so kind to read?
Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came up to him with her sons, and kneeling before him, she asked him for something. And he said to her, "What do you want?" She said to him, "Say that these two sons of mine are to sit, one at your right hand and one at your left in your kingdom." Jesus answered, "You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I am to drink?" They said to him, "We are able." He said to them, "You will drink my cup, but to sit at my right hand and at my left is not mine to grant, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father."
Oh, the arrogance. Now, I don't know, the Bible doesn't say if James and John put up their mom to do this. Mom. Yeah. But she is obviously lobbying over here for her sons, you know. And I'm sure as mom, she had best intentions, you know. Every mom would have a desire like this for their children, right? It sounds pretty cool. Then what's wrong with this prayer? Why is it distasteful? Because if it weren't, it would have been answered.
Because they didn't understand, like, the cup that Jesus was referring to. He was like, yeah, you can drink from, like, maybe from a Passover, but, like, the actual, like, cup of wrath that I have to take, he's like, you don't understand that. So,
And they arrogantly said, yeah, we can take that cup. And then he told them, okay, then you will.
Instead of asking us, Lord, prepare us to be that way, they're like, yes. Just as Peter denied him in the garden as well. Before, like, it's like, you'll deny me. He's like, please don't let me deny you. Help me, give me that strength. But
He's like, no, I'm not going to
fine."
deny you.
So it's that arrogance on both accounts where it's just like.
But why was a prayer of mother's love distasteful to God? One thing is lack of understanding. Okay, we can argue that, but that is also lack of understanding on the son's part, but not on mom's part.
The selfishness too? No?
No, I guess you could put an element of selfishness over there, lifting her sons up above everybody else. Because later on, I mean, if we continued reading the story, you would see that when the rest of the disciples heard what was happening, they were pissed. Like, what? You're no better than us.
Same thing, selfishness, trying to get ahead of the other person.
Okay, all right.
Trying to tip off the referee. Here's a 20. Put me up on.
Now, it's very possible that mom had some kind of skin in the game because Mark says that Jesus' ministry was supported by wealthy women from the places that he was visiting. And we know about James and John that they were doing like fishing business with their father. So obviously them leaving was not that much of a big deal for him. So obviously the business was good. They could have been actually from a pretty wealthy family. And it's very possible that their mom was one of the donors for Jesus' ministry. You know, so she could say, well, I've got some leverage in here, let's use it right now, you know, for the best. You know, I know my sons, they're great, they're awesome. I think they would do great if they're on the right and the left side of him. I think this is the best for the ministry. And Jesus is like, no, not really. Here's the thing. Did you guys watch that movie? I think it recently came out, The Hill, with Dennis Quaid. No, no, not the Silent Hill. Not the No, it's based on a true story of a baseball player from the 70s he was a son of a preacher, and his dream was to play in the major league, and his dad's dream for him was to be a pastor. And the movie is actually really good. It's so we watched it. Actually, we watched it last night, and that's why it was stuck in my head through the night, like the whole the tension between what you really wish God's will is and what God's will in the end actually ends up to be. And you having to come to terms with the fact that the only reason you didn't see it in the beginning is because you were so stuck on what somebody else's life is supposed to look like. Prayer for others can be distasteful to God when we think that this is the best thing for them. And that can, maybe for you guys are not that, if Evelyn was here, might be more relatable to her, because it very often impacts this parent's desire to raise their child in a certain way or to be a certain and so on. And then more affluent the family, more parental pressure there is on kids and so on. But you can kind of see it with yourself. With people you love the most, you very often you pray the wrongest prayers for the people you love the most. I remember this maybe from like, I don't know, a decade ago or so. So one family was losing a family member. And frankly, it was their time. She was already of age and she was suffering. But the family kept asking God, and actually some members of the family were so 100% sure that she's going to recover and she's going to get up and she's going to have an amazing life. And now Gordon and I are over there because they sent her from hospice to home. And Gordon is praying and they're like, Pastor, pray for healing, pray for this. And Gordon, he obliged. But later on we talked about it and Gordon was kind of, I wouldn't say disgusted, maybe that's too strong of a word, but he was really kind of appalled at like, why do they insist on something that is, she just needs to rest. She had an amazing life, she has an amazing family achieved, she's ready to go. The hardest thing for us to pray for is for people we care for the most. Because we are the most blindsided in those moments. When the more we are emotionally engaged, there is a greater chance that we are going to ask wrong things from God. So the question is, how would you make this mother's prayer appealing to God? Instead of asking Jesus, hey, get two of my sons and they should be one on the right and left side, they should be leaders with you, what would be, what do you think?
Could it be like people close to you, like help guide them, things like that?
Thank you. Yeah.
Let them see things that they can't see.
All right. Expand their views. Yes. So the problem that we have with the people we love is that we don't want to let them go. Not in the worst possible way, as I mentioned, the deathbed. That is like the extreme situation that eventually all of us come to, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, you're wishing for, wishing a better life for somebody in this or that way. God, please help them see that they need to get another job because this job is killing them. God, please help them see that this relationship is so awful for them that it's just ruining their life. God, please help them understand if they don't go back to school and get that education, blah, blah, and so on. You guys get my point. So we always have this idea of what we think that God should get those other people to do. And that actually ruins not just our relationship with God, but very easily can ruin our relationship to those people. Because when we see things not happening, we would assume that those people are resisting the will of God. And then we start resenting even more of their decisions. So I challenge you to think about this when you start praying for your parents, for your siblings, for your significant others, for whoever is on your mind. Filter it first through this mother's prayer and ask yourself, am I praying this from the point of God's sovereignty or mine? Make sense? Everybody's yawning too much. Okay, we should finish. And the last one, this is going to take us 5 minutes and then we can close with a prayer. Matthew chapter 16, 21 to 23.
Gotta read it. From that time, Jesus began to show his disciples that. From that time, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed, and on the third day be raised. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "Far be it from you, Lord, this shall never happen to you." But he turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a hindrance to me, for you are not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of man."
Thank you very much. The third distasteful, top third distasteful time when our prayers, when God rolls his eyes at our prayers, is when we pray for his will be done.
He still haven't forgiven you.
Huh? That's so. I'm still.
Still recovering.
Oh my gosh.
Were you saying that Satan was speaking through Peter?
Jesus said that.
Yeah, I said, "Get behind you, Satan." I was like, "Oh, dang."
And you know what's even worse? Look at this. Let me just open Matthew 16. This is the scary thing about it. So Matthew chapter 16. What verses was that? 21. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got it. Fine. Okay. Now look at this. This is so crazy. Look at verse 15. So Jesus is asking them, who do people say I am? And they say, he's Elijah, he's John the Baptist, and so on. And then he said to them, but who do you say I am? And Simon Peter replied, you are the Christ, the Son of living God. And Jesus answered him, blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. So you have over here Jesus commending Peter. And he's like, God is talking through you, Peter, right now. And then the next sentence, get behind me, Satan. Peter, Satan is talking through you right now. Do you see how crazy this is? Do you see how crazy this is? Where, literally in one sentence, Peter was inspired by the Spirit of God, and the next sentence, he was inspired by the Satan himself. How is that even possible?
Pride.
Jesus explains it right there. He said it. For you're not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of men. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that Peter must have been like, yeah, great, I just got praised. And he got on his high horse, and then he put foot and mouth.
That is very possible, yeah. His sandal.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely true. Yes. He could have spiritual arrogance, I guess, you know. But yeah, true. Like, hey guys, did you hear what Jesus said? And suddenly he feels the authority to tell Jesus what to do. And if this was the only thing, like he had so many times where he was telling Jesus what he needs to do.
Walking on water.
No, yeah, that's another one.
Bring me out.
Yeah, yeah. If it's really you.
Bring me out.
Yeah. And the cool thing about this is that Peter, like a little sidetrack on this one. So that walking on water, Jesus tells him, Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you and walk on water. Do you know whose words are those? You remember? If you're the Son of God, tell these rocks to become bread, and so on. Yeah, exactly. So you see Peter over here again, thinking of things of men, but Jesus was gracious enough to let it slide and to make it an amazing testimony out of it. But over here, Jesus had absolutely no tolerance for this anymore. Because then you were a young Christian and you were entitled to make these mistakes. But now here, when you know all of these things, this is not justifiable anymore. Because over here, Jesus was telling them the real deal. Like, guys, this is what's happening. We are going to Jerusalem. They're going to arrest me. They're going to torture me. This is going to be horrifying. They're going to kill me. I'm going to end up in a grave. And Peter is like, no, that's not happening. And Jesus was like, no, you should know better. This is not the first time I'm telling you guys this. You should know better. You know the scriptures. You know what Isaiah says and so on. Blah, blah.
Do not live on just milk. Or don't be like a baby and just suckle on, like it says, like suckle on like a tit. Like actually have, and he's talking about your spirituality.
Paul actually uses that terminology, I think, in Corinthians. He says that, like, how long am I going to be feeding you this baby food of teachings, of Bible teachings? Come on, you guys know this stuff. Why do we have to go back? No, Colossians. That's Colossians. Yeah. Because Colossians were the ones who accepted Jesus and the salvation by grace, and then they adopted the idea, no, you have to obey the law. It was like, why are you going back to this baby food? We talked about this. Come on, let's move on. And the same applies to all of us, and especially to you guys here. None of you are newbies. All of your life, God was a part of your life. More or less depending on your choices, but matter of fact is all of you right now are at the same point where Peter was when Jesus told him this. You are not entitled anymore not to understand these things. And the sooner you embrace that, higher you're going to grow and faster you're going to grow. Peter's prayer over here was distasteful. Even though he had the best intentions, he was praying from a horizontal perspective for the will of God. When you say, your will be done in my life, you have to see it through your divine identity and divine purpose. Because if you don't, a havoc is going to get wrecked. Chaos is going to erupt. That's why that time when we had that, that's why I went through it, because I went through that myself. I went through that, and here's the thing, now looking back, I was praying so much, your will be done, your will be done, but I was not ready for His will. I thought I was, but I was not. And then when His will unfolded, it came crashing down on me like a landslide. And it took me a while to recover. It really took me years to recover from that. Not because He made anything wrong, no. I was praying for the right thing. I just wasn't praying from the right perspective. So, if you want the will of God to happen in your life, it has to be understood through your clear definition of what your divine identity is and what your divine purpose is, which means who you are in Him and what are you to do in Him. You start doing that. Oh my goodness, crazy things start happening. Like prayers, not just that the prayers make sense, but what I was talking to Josh about this when we were setting this up, like he says, like, I know when I pray that this is going to happen because that's what God said, you know? So I started acting as if it has already happened, and then it actually happened. This is your future. I'm seriously telling you this. This is your future if you start seeing and practicing your prayers from this divine perspective that is available to you. But for that, you need to sit down with yourself, and you need to have a crystal clear understanding of who you are and what you are to do within your divine existence. Until then, this is all just games. And your prayers are going to be like darts in the dark. Hopefully it hits. And then when it hits, you're going to be super excited, but you won't understand why. Have you ever had that? Where things happen in an amazing way, and like, this is amazing, but I have no idea what's happening. Huh? Yeah. Like those penguins from Madagascar. Skipper, huh? Just smile, boys. Yeah. So, next week we're going to finish. We have the grand finale of this whole ask and you will receive, and I will try to wrap everything we talked about up and have a summary of it, and then give you some homework to practice. But I'm just telling you, like, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're learning. But if you're not applying these things, nothing's going to change. Any questions? Lovely. We finished 2 minutes before noon, which is beautiful. So we have plenty of time for a nice prayer. Any volunteers? Okay, Josh.
All right. Let's all bow our heads in prayer. Dear Father, Lord, thank you that we all come here together and learn and begin to grow, especially in our prayers. Lord, as we leave here today, let us not forget and let us apply what we've learned this week, this month, this year, the rest of our lives. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. You should have seen that.
You're teaching me with my imperfections, reaching me when I run the other direction. I'm undone, unraveling my plans. Make me whole again, rebuild me from the inside out, in a way only you know how. You're teaching me